In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the In the heart they gather strong. In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay.
Okay, everyone, welcome to Culturama. I apologize for that long wait. I did have some technical issues, but you know what? This is a live show, and that's what's going to happen. But thank you for everyone that did decide to join. And for those that are new, welcome to Culturama, where on this show, we are trying to reclaim the zeitgeist or traditional Americana back into the United States. And we have a lot to talk about today in regards to the unfortunate circumstances, of course, of the LA/California fires. So I'm going to cover that with you today. And also we have a special guest. We have the very own Dr. Joseph Ford Cotto. He is a political pundit. He has a pretty big Twitter account of over 80,000 people. And so he's going to be coming here with us today live to talk about the failures of the government inefficiency in California, as well as many others things regards to Gavin Newsom and what actually contributed to the California fires today. So I wanted to thank you guys for joining. Primarily, we're going to be talking about the California fires because that's like everything to do with the news. But we also have a lot more to touch on and cover. For instance, the UK has voted to not follow through with the inquiry on the grooming gangs. We have talked about that in a previous stream for those that are unaware about the grooming gangs that are happening in northern England with the Pakistani migrants. And that's quite unfortunate news. Hopefully I'll have some time to cover that as well, because I think that is also very telling of the state of the UK government. And, you know, and also we want to cover actually, the president of Mexico, Claudia, has decided to push back against Trump's decree that he wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And so we're going to be talking about that and more today on Culturama. Thank you everyone for joining. I did see quite a bit of an audience on Rumble, so I wanted to interact with your guys' comments before we proceed any further. And I do want to pull up some stories. Once again, so sorry for coming on a little later. I had run into some technical issues. And you know what? Considering that I've only done this stream for now a couple months now, what was it, 3 months at this point, and I haven't had any major technical issues up until now, is a little bit frustrating it took this long, but it is growing pains, and I am just breezing through it. So we have Mr. Pig in the chat. We have a Pork Chop 159. That's a new name. Hello, Pork Chop. I hope you're still here. I hope the lack of music didn't deter you from staying any longer. Let's see here. We have Grizz Cheese. Welcome, Grizz Cheese. Welcome to the stream. We have, of course, AP for Liberty. He also said he helped me fix the technical issues as well. Robbie Thurman is in the stream. Hello, Robbie Thurman. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Cecilia H. Hello, Cecilia. Sup, y'all? Okay, Robbie Thurman. The problem is solved. Newsom made fire illegal. Yes, Newsom has made fire illegal. Let's go. So to divulge a little bit on the technical issues before I dive any further, they are sound effect in nature. So I did want to play a little bit of audio to see if that can come up and if you guys can hear it. So bear with me before. Okay. Looks like that's not coming up. So I'm going to just have to add these as we go along. So if we're not going to get as much sound effects today, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. The nature of the technical issues is audio related. And for those that know anything about streaming, it usually is audio. Any technical issues that you will get will be largely audio related. It looks like my volume on my microphone is really loud, so I'm going to turn it down. There we go. Okay. Puts hair on the chest. Streaming and live dealing with technical issues puts hair on the chest. So bear with me. This is going to be a bit of a interesting stream. So I think you guys will appreciate that. But I did want to pull up some of these stories here for you guys before I proceed any further. And it does have to do with the fires that are happening right now. So I'm going to do that here for you guys before I to go on commercial break. Once again, apologies for the slowness. We did run into quite a bit of issues this evening, and things are just going to happen. You know, maybe the California fire, I don't know what caused it, but maybe the California fires inadvertently caused these technical issues, or maybe it's the deep state fighting directly against me, so this stream will not go live, right? And many such cases, you're going to have to fight against the enemy like that sometimes. But, man, we also have a lot of videos to play, and that's going to be an issue if we have audio issues. So we're just gonna work through it and see what we can do here. So, okay, here we go. So first story I wanted to pull up for you guys. If you were not aware, there is a major change happening with DEI. So we're going to go more into the real stories having to do with DEI. There is actually a major issue with DEI hires in the fire service in California, which I'm not going to say is directly contributing to the fires or the exacerbation of the fires, but let's just say that it's not helpful. So Elon Musk shared this. He said that's an interesting tweet. Is the sweater ethically sourced? But it looks like that there is a push for canine diversity, and the military canine units will give equal opportunities for Chihuahuas. And I think that's really great news, considering that someone like Leo, my dysgenic dog, can actually go in and do his due diligence and be a part of the military. And so DEI can go a long way, and you know what? It's applicable to animals just as much as applicable to humans. So I love jokes. Let's just proceed further with the real story here. And, this is going to be quite unfortunate. We are dealing with people that are losing. A lot of homes are being lost. It doesn't matter where you are in the class system or where you fall in the wealth gap. Wealthy people are losing homes as much as the non-wealthy. I don't know if you guys noticed, or saw in the news that Paris Hilton's house got burned down. There was another celebrities. And I don't know. I don't even know why that should be on the news or why that matters. But they're just talking about that. But this devastation is wreaking havoc all across Southern California, and it is a real problem. And my heart goes out to people that live in that area that have to endure this and suffer through this. Obviously, it's a very serious issue. And I'll do my best not to make too much light of it. This song is not helping with not making light of it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Let me know if you can hear this audio right now. That would help. But yeah, as you can see, there is a video of this devastation going on right now, and it's moving. Obviously this is sped up, but it's just really unfortunate how devastating this really is. And I did start this stream a little bit late, and I am a bit on a time budget because I do have a guest coming on. So, and I have to end it a little sooner because we have Liberty Tonight streaming afterwards. But a big portion of the stories that I want to cover today, if I get to them, it has to do with the governmental failings of the Californian government, of the LA mayor not even being present as this is occurring, and really it contributed in large part towards the proliferation of these fires. And Trump called Gavin Newsom out, and we'll cover that if you have time. But he did call Gavin Newsom out. He's calling out a lot of the failures of the Californian government of allowing this to happen, because they really did allow this to happen, and we'll cover why. Here's a video of the gridlock that's happening the other night. They were mandatory evacuations, obviously, and people can't even drive down the road. Can you guys hear this audio? Again, would really help if we, if you let me know. I'm going to check the comments in a second here, but we're troubleshooting it in real time. But yeah, look at this. This gridlock is just phenomenal. I don't know if you guys can see behind him, but look how congested that is. It's really unfortunate. I'm going to check the comments here. Just, like I said, troubleshooting in real time. Is that a Nixon edit? I have a Nixon edit on my timeline right now. That's crazy. Oh, man. The Nixon memes are not hearing the audio. Okay. That is not good. I can hear you, but I cannot hear the video. Okay. That's going to be a blunder today. So let me see if I can fix it. Thank you for letting me know, everyone. I do appreciate that. It's going to be a slower stream, whatever, as long as we hear the guest today, because we have today Dr. Joseph Cotto on this stream. He is a writer, he is a political pundit, and, when I troubleshooted the interview audio, that went through well. So let's just hope the interview will go on. It's a great day to have an interview. Okay, I can only hear you, so I can vocalize the sound effects now. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to... Let me see if I can troubleshoot it right now live for you guys. I've never troubleshooted live before. So, let me see if I can do that. I don't know if I... Hold on a second. Audio application. Let me try one more time here for you guys. So sorry about this, everyone. Obviously it's going to be a little bit of a slower stream. You know what? Let's put up this Nixon edit right here. Is this a Nixon edit? Yes, it is. Yeah, here we go. Let me play this audio. It's a Nixon edit. Can you guys hear that? Yeah. You guys probably can't hear that, can you? Well, that is probably not. I don't think we're just gonna have to talk about the stories, not hearing the audio. Okay. You guys are gonna have to listen to me most of the time today. I hope you're gonna enjoy that. Very unfortunate because you know what? Like, it was working fine last night. So I don't know what happened. Things just happen, you guys. I do feel like the deep state is going against me today. But you know what? To benefit that, perhaps you can fill it with commentary. Yes, I will have to, Helen. I will have to rely on my own commentary as opposed to just silly videos. Thankfully, I talk quite a bit, so it shouldn't be a problem for me. Also, if you notice me sipping on coffee, the coffee, here's a mug for the Culturama shop on my grift shop. I'm going to grift that today for you guys. And if you go to AP for Liberty shop and .com/Culturama collection, which I'll pull up a little later today on the stream, you can find yourself a wonderful Culturama products, including a pillow of me, a pillow of the stream logo, as you can see in the corner. Let me pointing it to the right. Now, here we go. You can find this logo pillow, and you can find many more items, very fun items. I don't have sound effects, which is kind of bothering me, but whatever. And you can find this beautiful mug with Communist Radio Zombies on it. And on top of all that, we just came out with a wonderful coffee collection, the first coffee under the Culturama shop, which I'll be pulling up a little later for you guys. And you know what? Also, a large way you can help the stream is to send in a Rumble rant or a donation to the stream. You can do so directly through Rumble, and that way you can go a long way in supporting the stream and also feeding a starving artist. So I would very much appreciate that for you guys. And thank God at least my microphone is working. So let's just jump into the stories here. We won't be watching that many videos, which is fine, but I will be talking about the devastation that is happening in California. And I want to cover that with you guys today because it is obviously very important news here. And there is some talk about who is contributing to these fires. And it turns out that there is apparently video footage evidence of it being arsonists. So I wanted to really capture that with you guys today and talk about that. And then we can talk about the issue of Trump attacking Newsom today. So here we go. So there is talk about who is contributing to these fires. I mean, is it simply just wildfires or is it something more? And there has been a lot of theories going around about who exactly is contributing to these fires. There has been some speculation that it could be terrorist related or a version of domestic terrorism. And we don't actually know. But throughout the last couple days, as this was going on, there has been reason to believe that it could be actually on the ground, people that are contributing to this directly. There are arsonists. There was 5 men on ski masks reported setting fire the other day. And this tweet shows that. And then we had this video, which without audio today, but we have this video, if you guys can see right here, of these men. I don't know if you can see that, but it seems to be that there are people actually lighting stuff on fire in California prior to this occurring. And that brings up the bigger question of what's actually contributing to this. I mean, ideologically, is this a form of domestic terrorism? Is this ideologically motivated? There have been people speculating that it could be, related to foreign issues as well. It could be, I don't know, it could be like Palestine driven. When I was on a live stream the other day, and I'm just speculating. I'm just spitballing with you guys here. I'm not saying that's what it is. I was on a live stream the other day watching this devastation occur, and people were writing Free Palestine in multiple live streams, and I found that rather unusual, but they're going to do that anywhere. But there is a lot of speculation about what could be contributing to this. I believe Iran made an announcement a few days ago, or maybe it was over a week ago, that something unusual was going to happen, but they didn't elaborate exactly on what that would be. We don't know. But what we do know is that there are direct random acts of violence against the people of California, and it's still important for the United States government to respond to that and to provide an accurate investigation of what's going on. And I really hope that would be the case. I hope the Biden administration doesn't completely drop this. Hopefully with the transition of the Trump administration, we can look into this. And it seems to be the case that Trump really does want to attack Newsom on this. And here's a tweet right here. It wasn't a tweet, it was a Truth Social post. But let's read this out loud together. Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain to snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called smelt, which I will pull up a picture of here in a second, by giving it less water. By the way, it didn't work, but it didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California in all caps in the Trump style. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for the fire hydrants, no firefighting planes, a true disaster. And it really is a true disaster. He is slamming Governor Newsom for his previous failures as a governor. And Governor Newsom has approached this issue and has approached his governorship of California, really, completely mismanaging this entire issue by focusing on other issues or policy areas, I guess you could say, environmental policy areas that simply don't work. because they don't help the American people. Sure, you can have regulations that save a fish, which, by the way, I want to show to you guys here in a second. You can have these government regulations that goes on to save a fish, or save some water. But what's the point if you cannot actually help the people of your state? And people are actually dying from these fires. They're losing their houses. And we have the insurance scandals that has been coming out as well. But what I found very interesting as well is that Trump has talked about this previously, and I retweeted this the other day, but this is a tweet from 2019, by the way, I want to add. There's a date where Trump has repeatedly antagonized California's mismanagement of its wildlife and its fauna and its flora for not doing enough to prevent fires that have devastated the state. Let's take a look at this article. So Trump was on the pulse of this from the very beginning, actually, and he has been. And people have said that, this is just ideologically driven. He's just trying to hit California hard, hit Newsom hard in his progressive governorship. And this is purely ideologically driven. I've already seen some articles come out say that, Trump is being nasty right now. I had a TMZ article I want to pull up that Trump is being nasty and, he's politicizing this. But is he really, if he just wants to help the American people? He has forewarned about this back in 2019. See, the article says here that President Donald Trump on Wednesday said he may order FEMA to cut off funding for forest fire relief in California, ratcheting up an old threat that received widespread condemnation for politicizing a natural disaster. Of course, you're going to have articles that say that. But he knew all along that California completely mismanages, especially when it comes to their forest fire relief, or wildfires, I suppose is the correct term. And why do you think that is? Maybe it's because he actually understands that it's not going to help the American people, whatever it is that California is doing. They are completely mismanaging it. And we're going to pull up a few news stories as well of the LA mayor not even being present as this was occurring. Okay, she was in Ghana, of all places. And by the way, as far as I know, we don't actually literally understand why she was there. Maybe someone in the chat can help me out here. But I never found out why she was in a foreign country as this was occurring. I'm not saying she purposefully fled California. I'm pretty sure she went before the fires had started to occur. But why was she in Ghana? And how unfortunate and cowardly it looks if she wasn't around during the time this was happening. Obviously, she returned back, and I'm going to pull up a video of them questioning her. But really, a majority of the stream is just going to be my commentary, so... but I did want to pull up a video, and you can see in the video how uncomfortable she looks as people were interviewing her as she exited the plane. But why was she in a foreign country? Okay, let me read the comments here. Looks like Cecilia H. added a link to the Cold Trauma merch shop. Thank you so much, Cecilia. That really does help. I'm giving a serious thought to attempting to build the rifle you're holding on the mug. It looks like a mix of AR and AK. Robbie Thurman, it is AI art. So in part here. So I don't know what they concocted here in the mug, but it is kind of like a bit of a shorter rifle, as you can see. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not clear. But yeah, it's if you could recreate that, that would be amazing, actually. In fact, I should probably cosplay as my Culturama self as well. Sometime. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm wearing like the jacket with the gun there. Okay, let me see. All right, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to pull up the remainder stories, and then stay tuned until the next hour. At the encroachment of the next hour, we will have the very own Joseph Ford Cotto joining us on stream. And if everything works correctly, I'm going to interview him and his political punditry and his awareness of the goings-on of the local events in America here, especially particularly as it refers to California. I'm going to be asking him about his opinion on California's governorship and how effective they really are. and where are the sensitive points that they have failed in their governorship of California that contributed to these wildfires and the devastation that is occurring in Southern California. So stay tuned for that. We will cover that and much more. I'm going to go off to a little break here. I may or may not have audio, I will see, but I will be right back for you guys, and stay tuned.
Well, here comes Annie yelling like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. The employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling.
We are back to Culturama, and whoa, my audio I think is... No, it's good. We are back to Culturama. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We have Dr. Joseph Cotto going to be with us here in the next 20-ish minutes. So we're going to be having a wonderful and stellar interview with him. He's a political pundit and a writer, and he has a lot of knowledge about the political issues of the day, especially as it pertains to modern America. So I think you guys are really going to appreciate that interview. We also have a lot more stories to cover here about the California fires. And again, wrecking devastation on the rest of the United States, and it's quite of an issue. And for those that have been following along in the stream, this is going to be called the troubleshooting stream as far as it refers to audio. So I want to thank all my wonderful fans that did bear with me throughout the duration of this episode. We're already hitting the next hour, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the deep state is running out to get me. They may have not liked what I've said previously, and they are trying to affect my stream by cutting off my audio. I'm kidding. It's mostly due to my incompetence. I apologize. Let's see here. Okay, I played that to check the audio, and it looks like it's not. You guys could only maybe hear that in the background. Okay, let me pull up the next few stories for you guys. I want to check who else is in the chat here, and despite this stream maybe having a few issues, I highly do advise you guys to still check out the Culturama merch shop. We do have a link in the chat for you guys to look at, but. I have already talked about... Oh, hold on a second. We have already talked about how Trump is shaming Newsom for his absolute incompetence, almost as incompetent as I am with the audio on the stream today. Newsom's utmost incompetence when it comes to managing California. And you see a slew of articles basically try to politicize it and say that Trump is politicizing a natural disaster. And I want to say this one thing. Yes, perhaps Trump is politicizing a disaster. He's doing so for good reason. Because what we have seen multiple times in California is that they do have a history of this. Wildfires is especially an issue in California, as much as if not more so of an issue than earthquakes, for instance. It's their top natural disaster. And we have seen multiple times now where the Californian government does not properly or accurately manage the natural resources of its country. And it goes out of its way to save a particular fish than it does to help the people of its own state. And as we already covered, Trump has tried to attack, and he did attack accurately Governor Newsom by basically calling out his absolute failures. But you have articles like this coming out and saying that, you know what, Trump is just outright politicizing this, and he has no place to call out Gavin's absolute failure as a governor. Let's read this a little bit here. President-elect Donald Trump is fanning the flames of divisiveness amid the massive wildfires burning across Los Angeles, posting a scathing critique of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Trump hopped on his Truth Social platform Wednesday and placed the blame for raging brush fires squarely at the feet of Newsom, accusing him of choosing an endangered fish, smelt by the way, over badly needed water resources to fight the fires. Trump kicked off his tongue lashing. Look at that language right there, tongue lashing, right? But yet again referring the governor as new scum before claiming Gavin refused to sign a declaration allowing water from the north to flow into areas currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. Trump said that Newsom favored the Delta smelt fish over the people of California, and that he would change all that once he takes office on January 20th. So you do have articles like that basically going out and trying to paint Donald Trump as this bitter old man who is just trying to stoke political flames back into the country amidst a terrible natural disaster and a tragedy that's occurring right now in the state of California. And yes, while it is a tragedy, we did see that arsonists are doing this, and we don't know how targeted it is. There are multiple fires. We don't know what it's driven by. I really do think there were arsonists behind this, and I really do hope that the state of California proceeds with an inquiry or an investigation on what's exactly happening there, because this could very well be an act of domestic terrorism. We're not aware. It could be entirely natural, but based on the findings that we have had and the audio-less footage that we have looked through, there are people seemingly administering these targeted attacks. But I could be very well wrong. Time will tell. But I really do hope that proper investigation and management of this issue will occur, because you do have to understand that the response to this has been an absolute flop. I don't know if haven't covered this yet, but Los Angeles repeatedly appointed its first female LGBTQ plus fire chief, and they had the goal to recruit more women and LGBT firefighters in the effort. And this was before the fires had occurred, and we can't hear the audio of this, but this this fire chief right here basically explains how she wants to admit more DEI hires in the effort. And, you know, this is one of those situations where it's DEI or die, and they seem to be wanting to support DEI over the lives and the livelihoods and the comfort of the American people. I've talked about this already. I've talked about how in the UK with the grooming gang situation, and for those that don't know, there is long-standing embedded networks of Pakistani grooming gangs in Rotherham in Northern England in the UK. This has been going on for nearly over a decade at this point. And what that means is that you have these Pakistani migrants, all grown men, sexually harassing, sexually assaulting, and outright raping the young girls of England. And they are specifically targeting white girls, by the way, because they see them as infidels. They could, you know, utilize them however they want. And so, and the reason why investigation wasn't conducted, no proper investigation was conducted, simply because law enforcement didn't want to look racist. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up yourself. This is nearly, you know, a 10-year plus long endeavor, and there is multiple reports of law enforcement not wanting to get in simply because it looks bad. And just a few days ago, the inquiry was canceled. There was not a unanimous vote, but there was a large vote in favor of not proceeding forward with the inquiry to investigate this. And that really begs a question about what happens if your own country doesn't want to protect the most vulnerable. They would rather look a certain way, you know, look like they're not racist, they're not sexist, completely amorphous in a genderless society, doesn't want to protect the most vulnerable of your country, simply because they want to look a certain way. And even though this is not, you know, one-to-one comparison here, I really do feel like this is similar in the way, and in this way, and that no, this LGBT fire shift does not directly contribute to people's houses burning down. But you do have to admit that DEI hires really facilitate more people losing their homes. They are not as competent. Once we are hiring based on a certain look or a certain even political alignment at this point, because really the LGBTQ plus stuff, it's an ideological alignment. Can we be honest about that? It really is becoming that. And if we're hiring based on a certain look or a certain predisposition as opposed to competency, you will have more people die, you will have more people perish, lose their homes, lose their livelihoods. And this is why what I'm saying is these people would rather have DEI, they would rather protect that, so it's DEI or die. And this is a position that we're in. And no, these people didn't start the fires. But as far as we know, they very well, and as far as I'm willing to believe, they really are contributing to the proliferation of this devastation. If we're going to be honest here, and I know people in the chat can disagree with me if I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but that's what I really feel. But that's how I really feel about this situation. Okay. And on top of that, you have this Los Angeles mayor, which we can't listen to the audio again, but she was out in Ghana as this was happening. She was coming back, and this reporter is asking her, you know, what response do you have to this? What do you think contributed to this? Do you have any, you know, comment you want to provide about the fires and devastation that's happening? And really, we don't need the audio to know what's happening here. She doesn't answer a single question, by the way. She doesn't answer a single question. She just stands there. She looks a little frail. She looks a little peeved, obviously. She just came back from her vacation or whatever that was. Again, we don't know why she was in Ghana. And she's just standing there, as you can see. She looks a little disappointed. She kind of reminds me of like a frail little chihuahua. Because, you know, this, I don't know if you guys know, but this is the tunnel between the airplane to the airport. And so somehow the reporter got into that tunnel and he's questioning her about this and she's not budging. She's not talking. Look, she looks over to the corner. She doesn't want to interact. It looks like she wants to exit through the door, but she can't do that. So she's just literally just turning around, turning her body around. He's telling her, go the other direction. Did you see that? She's looking out the door, trying to escape. She's clearly uncomfortable. And the guy's he's like, yo, you can't exit this way. You have to go out the way that everyone else goes out. You're not special just because you're the mayor of LA. And they push through the reporter right there. And they push through all these like civilians, or maybe what she may consider them as peons. But kind of embarrassing if your own mayor doesn't even want to say or respond to anything. I don't know how the people of LA feel about this, or if they how they feel when they see this video, but what can you say, or how do you feel if a person that's supposed to be representing you on a local level doesn't even say anything like that in response to such a major tragedy like this? Really, really interesting. Okay. Oh, let me check on the chat. The tunnel of shame. Yes, Mr. Pig, it is a tunnel of shame indeed. D-I and die. Yeah. Did I say or die? I meant and die. My apologies. Thank you, Grizz Cheese. I like to say in this show every time I make a blunder like this is that, based on language, is that, English is my second language. So if I misspeak or if I say something incorrectly, that is why. Mr. Librissi, I will never know how to say your name, but on YouTube, thank you so much for joining in the chat today. I see your chat on YouTube. He says, beautiful outfit today. When I buy merch, it'll definitely be Culturama. Well, thank you, Mr. Librissi. I really do appreciate that. And, we are going to get more... we're going to get more merch on, so I think you will really appreciate. I want to get more Leo merch on there. That's my next goal. Because I have been selling the merch. I have already sold some coffee as well. And if you like coffee, Mr. Librissi, I would highly recommend the Blonde Atomic Roast. But I do want to get more Unleash the Beast merchandise. And we're going to get a lot more in there. But for now, we do have a pillow, Culturama pillow. We have sweatshirts. We have the mug. I do highly recommend the mug. The sweatshirts are Adidas quality. And they are a little bit pricier, but you do have a chance to win a discount as soon as you get on the website as well. So we have a lot of cool places on the Grift Shop. I think you guys will enjoy. APOC is Daniela. Yes, APOC, it is. It's good to see you here. Keep it appropriate in the chat, okay? It's good to see you here. But yes, this is a Culturama show, and you showed up in a very unfortunate time because this is like the first stream where I've had major technical difficulties for some reason. I don't know if it was you, APOC, if you were behind that, but I do want to thank you for joining the stream, and I hope you will join more in the future as well. Yes, filthy civvies, exactly. Okay, I have my next guest coming on. I built him up enough. His name is Dr. Joseph Cotto. Let me pull up his Twitter account first before I bring him up so you guys kind of have an idea of who it is. Joseph Cotto. I was on his stream on Monday, and we've talked about the college female vote and how particularly college-educated white women did not show up to the vote. They're one of the weakest demographics to come out and vote for Trump. So I talked about that on his show on Monday, and he reshared the stream. There we are. There's a stream that we did together on his stream. He used to do a show and do a political show with Paul Gottfried, of all people. I don't know if that stream is still going on, but Joseph Cotto has quite a lengthy resume, and I will ask him to introduce himself as he comes on stream. But he is a writer. He is a host of the political show called News Site. He is a political pundit, and he has a lot of information and knowledge about the political landscape surrounding modern American politics. And so I wanted to touch on that with him, and I want to specifically ask him about his opinion about the mismanagement of California, because really that's what I've been talking about on this stream. So I'll be getting him on for that here in a few minutes. I will be starting up this meeting here in the next few minutes. So everyone, please stay tuned. And I think you're really going to appreciate what he has to say about this. But again, this is his Twitter account, Dr. Joseph Ford Cotto. And you can find him at Joseph Ford Cotto. He live streams on X as well. So That's one way that you can watch him. So I will be bringing him up in the next couple minutes, and I wanted to thank everyone that did show up on the stream and is bearing with me as we proceed forward, despite whatever technical issues we will run into. And I will make sure that the audio will run fine on his end and on my end. So if the commercial break goes a little longer, I'm sorry about that. That's just what happens in live streams sometimes, stuff like that happens. But I'll do everything in my power to have the legendary Joseph Cotto on stream. I also apologize for the lack of sound effects. I know people these days, they have the attention span, myself included, of a goldfish. So we need a lot of the bells and whistles. But I will get those on working as soon as I can as well. I'm trying to do that live here. But thank you for everyone that did join and is bearing with me in this stream. I really do appreciate that. Okay. I will be right back. I'm going to play your guys' favorite commercial about the Maryland with the Masters, and I will try to get Joseph Cotto on here in a moment. So thank you for everyone for showing up, and you're not going to want to miss this next interview.
Well, here comes Anita like Maryland with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hayford doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop.
Well, here comes Sandy yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also
Welcome everyone to the Radioactive Exclusion Zone, where we like to talk with various figures in the political movement. And today I have with me Dr. Joseph Cotto. Dr. Joseph Cotto, how are you doing today? Speak in. Let's see if the audio works today on the stream here.
I'm doing well. How are you, Danielle?
I'm doing certainly well. Let me check with the chat. Can you guys hear Dr. Joseph Cotto? Is he coming through to you guys at all? Let me see. Joseph, tell us a little bit about yourself here. It looks like I'm going to wait for people to respond in the chat, but tell us a little bit about your book. I know that you're a writer. I also know that you've had a stream as well with Paul Gottfried. Is that correct?
I did a show with him called Cotto Gottfried. We did that for a few years, and it was outstanding. I really, really enjoyed it. Paul and I have been friends for the better half of 2 decades, and we obviously we get along well. And we always had great insights to share, though his were inarguably more interesting than my own. But I have written a few books now about history, although in different contexts, and I really do find it interesting to learn as much about the past because it gives insight on what's happening now, and it's obviously a roadmap for the future, for better or for worse. I am a doctor of business administration, so obviously I do enjoy focusing on matters of finance, economics, business, and I host News Site, which is on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And one episode a week is devoted to my analysis of business/economics/finance. But then I do interviews as well. And I do another episode now about current events that don't relate to money. So it's interesting. There are different episodes of the show each week. And I would like to do more episodes per week as time goes on. But as always, it's in the realm of we'll see. But News Site has been around for about a year, and it's not going anywhere unless I get hit by a 16-wheeler or something. But I always have enjoyed offering insight and analysis on things, but I enjoy even more learning from other people. So my perspective can become much more, shall we say, well-rounded. I am a lifelong learner, I would say, above all else.
Well, that's wonderful, Joseph. Thank you for all that information. So yes, a news site is the show that he has. I will share his socials after this. And what's the title of your book again?
Well, the most recent one is called What Happened to America, How and Why the American Dream Became a Nightmare. And that pertains to immigration going way back to the country's colonial period through the Biden administration. And it explains how there were such wide-ranging changes in America over the generations that eventually brought us to this detestable place.
Very much so. Detestable place is a good way to put it, Joseph Cotto. Yes. So yes, what happened to America? Correct. That's the name of the book, the most recent one. You guys can look that up afterwards, and I will pull that up after this interview. But I did bring you on here to discuss pertinent matters happening in California. And I know that you're also a political pundit. You talk about politics, and I wanted your take on what's going on there. We already touched on briefly a little bit on the mismanagement of what's happening in the governorship of California that most likely contributed to these fires being perpetuated right now down there. And I wanted your take. What do you think specifically contributed to this, if anything at all, having to do with the leadership there?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things. And obviously, if you talk about the leadership, you are talking about the Democratic Party. It
Yes.
controls the state, lock, stock, and barrel, LA County, and then, of course, the city of Los Angeles. And all three levels of government interweave, if you will, to they did so in order to bring about this horrible, horrible state of affairs. So I have to really get into the I have to get into the various points here because it's impossible to talk about at 30,000 feet. The overstated achievements of Gavin Newsom are really something else. He claimed that 90,000 acres were treated for fire prevention, but in fact, only 11,399 were actually managed. And that, of course, was an overstatement to the tune of 690%. That misrepresentation obviously led to complacency in fire preparedness. Then there were budget cuts. Newsom cut approximately $150 million from Cal Fire's wildfire prevention budget in 2020, and that weakened the state's fire response capabilities during a record-breaking fire season. Delayed response. There were criticisms of his delay in calling up the California National Guard to assist with the wildfires, and obviously that delay worsened the situation. There was a lack of preparation. His administration was credibly accused of not adequately preparing key infrastructure like water reservoirs and fire hydrants, and those things obviously failed during this insane crisis. He is a man who does a focus on photo opportunities. It has been argued, I would argue myself substantively, that his public appearances, his desire for public appearances during the wildfires, that was just a focus on his own ego, his vainglory, more than on effective leadership or certainly crisis management. There was, this is key, inadequate forest management. Under his administration, California's forest management, including the clearing of underbrush and preventative burns, was not up to the mark, and that led to a more severe fire spread. Now, something else to get into are the environmental priorities over public safety. And I am definitely a fan of the environment. I don't like seeing it destroyed. All the same, California has taken environmental preservation to an insane, hyper politicized level that basically boils down to state control over matters that would in many cases would be best left to individuals. California has policies aimed at protecting certain species like the smelt. And what happened is that focus on, really minute stuff such as this wound up sacrificing water resources needed for firefighting because California's already scarce water supply was diverted to helping various species of animal. Now, I do think it's great to try to help out all members of the animal kingdom, but at the same time, there is this obsession with so-called green politics that led to something very brown, something black, as a matter of fact, the charred remnants of formerly preserved wildlife areas, because obviously these wildfires are burning in principally on public property. Then they spread onto private property. And it's interesting. California focused so much on environmental preservation that they actually created a state of affairs wherein the environment was destroyed. Then there was misallocation of resources. Newsom's administration has misallocated many of its resources, focusing less on urgent issues while neglecting critical fire fire prevention and response. I could say more, but I'll just leave that there for time. The Democrats do talk a lot about misinformation. Well, Newsom's office did mislead the public about the effectiveness of wildfire prevention strategies, and that wound up undermining trust in state leadership. And you could look at this last point I'll bring up, political versus public interest. Democratic policies under Newsom have prioritized fringe, niche, radical environmentalist agendas, a lot of which are copacetic with extremely leftist economic policies and very much a government orientation against individual rights and liberties. This stuff was exalted over practical fire and land management strategies. But there's also a lot to say about the politics of LA County and the city of Los Angeles. It's not just, like I said, the state of California. It's too complicated to get into now because of time, but I will just throw out there that the city of Los Angeles did wind up diverting almost $20 million from its budget for firefighters, and their fire department is woefully understaffed. I think it's fair to say it's very poorly managed, and that does come out of the so-called progressive agenda there, wherein funds for public safety agencies were diverted towards various pet causes designed to promote the concept of equity, which is different than equality. Equality is equality of opportunity, essentially giving everyone a fair chance. Equity is equality of condition. So that always involves discrimination. It always involves doing away with someone else's well-being to quote unquote promote others. And in the case of California, they tried to ensure equity by doing away with the public well-being by cutting funds for public safety departments in order to promote various schemes which were designed to make everyone equal in terms of condition. It's obvious, I mean, that's obviously a Marxian point, but it's very popular nowadays on much of the left. So that is really interesting. You have a horrible, horrible failure here at the state, county, and city levels, and they're all run by Democrats. So one cannot, say, well, this is because of both parties, it's because of this, that, and the other thing. And I'll just give one last point here, this time about the federal government, which is by far and away the least important level of government with regard to this whole thing. Joe Biden did not really give this horrible crisis much airtime at all. And that's shocking because the people it's affecting are disproportionately Democratic, including some very wealthy Democrats. Look at the fires where they're burning in the Pacific Palisades, in the Hollywood Hills, and elsewhere, and who knows where they might spread to. And it shows to me that a lot of the Democrats don't really even care about their own during a time of need. Very interesting behavioral element to how the Democratic coalition functions.
Oh, absolutely. And as far as the Joe Biden comment is concerned, I don't know if you watched the video of him speaking with the fire department there in LA County the other day, but he was completely as usual, Joe Biden's going to act his senile self, but he announced that he was going to be a great-grandfather. And in the midst of them explaining the situation, it was very tone deaf. But anyway, but yes, very, very insightful answer, Dr. Cotto. Thank you for that. But in regards to, because you're right, a lot of this is the Democratic leadership, and that's contributing to this. They have this cult of environmentalism that they bolster. And then when it comes to apparently actually protecting the environment in a meaningful way, it turns brown and black, as you've mentioned. It's burnt. It's completely burnt to a crisp now. And I don't know how long it'll take to rebuild from this devastation, but it's still going on, and it may take quite a while. So clearly their motivations were not set or not set in the right place. How long do you think is it possible even to maintain or start, I suppose, actually restart a Republican leadership or governorship or what have you, any form of leadership in California to set it in the right direction? Is that even possible? Are we even on the right track for that?
Well, two things. Number one, about wildfires. In Central Florida, where I am, there were terrible wildfires in the late 90s. And to this day, the habitats affected by that have not recovered. If you drive in the area where the wildfires were, you can see the vegetation where the fire stopped and then the vegetation where the fire ravaged, and it's different right now. So, I mean, the recovery would take decades. And talking about the political situation in California, I mean, we could look at Los Angeles city and county as well, but The reality is that California is losing a lot of people. It's losing people principally to Texas, to Tennessee, and to Florida. And the people it's losing are disproportionately Republican or moderate independent. And they're leaving because they don't like the politics of the state. And the people who stay, particularly in the large urban centers and urban counties, are even more Democratic than they were before. Now, Trump did do better in California than any Republican has since 2004. But that's because he ran up massive margins in a lot of counties, smaller counties, and he did much better with the Chicano vote, as the Mexicans would be called down in California. And he did that in spite of what was going on in LA, particularly in Hollywood, although there was something of a shift towards him. This is key in certain places like Beverly Hills, which he actually won. So what this says to me is that the politics of California are very unlikely to change, although some parts of it will continue growing more Republican. If you look at the areas of LA County that are really impacted by this, it's a lot of limousine liberals, though not exclusively. And I don't think those people, their politics will change at all. I don't think there will be any real demand for a reinvigorated state GOP, even after this. California at this point is a one-party state. Republicans very rarely even make it to the general election because it's something the Democrats promoted. Now over 10 years ago, the top two system, wherein the top two vote getters in the primary go on to the general election. And that means that almost certainly, with some rare exceptions like Steve Garvey, but in the vast majority of cases, a Democrat is going to be facing a Democrat in the general, whether you're talking about for statewide offices or in most cases even state legislative races, because it's just the partisan demographics of California. The top two vote getters in the primary are likely to be both Democrats. So the Democrats really do have a one-party state. They figured out how to get it lock, stock, and barrel. And a lot of the people who remain in California today, they really don't have much of a conception of politics outside of their state. Even if things are horrible, if they hate them, they think it's always worse in Republican areas. And the reality is that much poorer states, like for instance Mississippi, have less income inequality than California does. I was shocked to learn that, but it's true. And in places like Florida do much better when it comes to environmental conservation than California does. And Florida does have very strict laws about conserving the environment, natural resources. But, so the truth is that California, for all it talks about with regard to its progressive ideals, it's getting beat out by states that are Republican when it comes to actually getting the things done that people in Sacramento and at the county and city level in LA talk about. And a lot of people in California just don't want to hear that. They could lose everything, as some of them have, and they still don't want to hear it because their politics for them is an identity. It's an identity, it's a team, and they're not willing to consider another point of view. What they think is, well, we just didn't do it right last time, but we'll do it right this time. We'll reorient our team, essentially. And it doesn't get better. It winds up getting worse. But that's what these people want. And, if this is the government they want, then they deserve it. And that's basically it. So I don't think there will be a GOP resurgence in California in terms of taking over the state. I think certain parts of the state, as I said, will continue getting more Republican. But the people who remain in California are very, very, generally speaking, not entirely, but generally speaking, entrenched Democrats who would sacrifice their own well-being in many cases to vote for their party because they believe the other party is an existential threat to them, even though they probably don't even know anybody from the other party. And if they live around people from the other party, those people don't make their presence known on a partisan basis. So it's really interesting how this goes. But no, I don't think there will be a political turnaround in California, although I do think there will be a small shift towards the GOP in these areas that were getting redder even before the forest fires, but it's not going to be enough to dethrone the Democratic establishment, which basically, as I said, did change state law over a decade ago to turn California into a real one-party state. And that's a big reason why it's so screwed up. I would have used another word, but screwed up, because there is no sense of urgency in its politics other than people trying to outdo each other to prove how progressive they are, which obviously leads to more ridiculous legislation, destructive public policy that's focused on ideology above practicality.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said that these liberals, Democrats, leftists, progressives, they are so closed off to alternative viewpoints. They would rather look at the situation and let their homes be burned and not second guess or question their present governorship or their party's regime system that actually contributed to this with the mismanagement of the resources that they have. And that's quite unfortunate that has to be the case, but you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped, I suppose. So, that works at an individual level, and that would works in the same way, I suppose, in a statewide level. So that's a very insightful answer. Just to veer off of California for a minute here, although it's tangentially related, but as far as Trump's administration is concerned, as you're probably aware, Trump has been directly hitting Gavin Newsom's mismanagement on Truth Social and making these comments. He has commented on California's mismanagement before in the past as well. Do you think that as we proceed forward with this new administration that we can potentially see some changes at the state level? Do you think you could, is there something that could be federally done to have governors like Gavin Newsom actually take charge? Or do you think that it really is just up to the failures of the state? I mean, do you think that also Trump's new administration, seeing how like Trump wants to apparently get Greenland in and the Panama Canal, he's coming off on a very strong note. He's taking the best foot forward, I suppose, but he's really also messaging a strong leadership coming in. Do you think that would change the landscape politically of America and how Americans view the presidency, and if state governors will respond in kind or not?
Well, I will just say the Panama Canal, the U.S. getting that back is an outstanding idea. It wasn't just the canal. America had essentially its own, it wasn't a state, but it was similar to a state, the Panama Canal Zone. And that was built by the U.S. And it was an absolute marvel, a majestic achievement, and I strongly support the U.S. getting that back. Jimmy Carter was responsible for giving that up, and it's ironic that he died just as Donald Trump is about to take office, and Donald Trump is basically the repudiation of Jimmy Carter, whereas Carter's administration, the spirit of it definitely is proudly displayed by Joe Biden's outgoing administration. So anyway, talking about Greenland, I don't think the U.S. should buy Greenland. The people there, I don't think would want to be Americans. And at the end of the day, I think they're better off as a Danish colony. I don't think that the U.S. will get Greenland, but you never know. And I certainly don't think the U.S. should annex Canada. But what I will say is about who is it that has to deal with the insanity that you see going on in California with these wildfires? At the end, you can't get around the fact that it's the state, local, and county governments, the local meaning municipal, that have to deal with this because the wildfires are fundamentally state, local, and county issues. Now, the federal government can help, but there's not too much you can do. Yet there are some things that the incoming Trump administration can address, such as enforcing forest management. Trump has advocated for aggressive forest management, including clearing forest floors and controlled burns, which should be enforced through federal oversight and or incentives, since California obviously receives federal funding. Should be some stuff Trump's administration can do there. And that brings up, obviously, the matter of federal funding. Trump's admin should ensure that federal disaster funds are contingent upon states like California meeting specific fire prevention and management goals, particularly in high-risk areas. State fire programs, which would receive federal funds, which do receive federal funds, should be audited. Uncle Sam should conduct independent audits of state fire management programs to ensure funds are used effectively and that stated goals are being met. Trump's admin should also mandate regular, comprehensive emergency preparedness drills that involve all levels of government to test response strategies. Now, he can try to streamline bureaucracy for his administration that can simplify the process for federal aid to states and emergency administrations, reducing red tape that can delay critical assistance. But at the same time, there need to be strings attached, unbreakable strings, to make sure that the money is not misspent. And that goes back to, enforcing that through audits, such as I mentioned. That really is key. And that's how the Uncle Sam, I think, would enforce very good forest management policies, using audits to make sure that the policies are being followed. And if Uncle Sam doesn't do that, the situation that we see today will just unfortunately go on and on in different variations appropriations over the years. There should be mechanisms implemented for public accountability, wherein state leaders regularly report progress on fire prevention to federal authorities and to the public, and there should be more direct federal support and grants to local fire departments for equipment, training, and personnel, especially in California's fire-prone areas. That would be important for a place like LA, where, of course, the city cut funding for their own department. And there may be legislation for water management, encouraging and or enacting legislation that allows for more flexible water management during crises, ensuring water availability for firefighting. Obviously, this would apply to states and localities that would use federal funds for their water management. And if there were standards for how those funds were used, then ideally it could be much more streamlined than what you see, where in California is diverting so much of its money that's supposed to be for water retention and fire prevention to these ridiculous causes. And there could also be public education campaigns that Uncle Sam may fund to promote education of fire safety, risk reduction, and what individuals can do to protect their properties and communities. And there's the last one I'll bring up, the collaborative task forces. When people hear task force, they typically roll their eyes because task forces rarely get anything done. But maybe another one might. There might be the establishment of a joint task force between federal, state, local, and county agencies to oversee and improve wildfire response strategies, which hopefully would ensure that both policy and execution of policy are aligned for public safety. So there are things that can be done. There is making more funds available, but doing so in a way that there are these strings attached, with the idea of enforcing good forest management strategies, also very good fire prevention strategies for agencies, and preventing money from being misused and diverted for pet causes that suit various ideological agendas. So there are things the Trump administration can do. But, and it's a big but, at the end of the day, if the states and the counties don't want to play ball, and the cities as well, then there's not much his administration really can get done. I mean, certainly they can audit in any case if there are federal funds received by these lower levels of government. But, if the audit comes up in a way that's unfavorable to the city, to the county, or to the state, what's Uncle Sam going to do other than cut the funds? So it's unless there was criminal misuse of the money, that's a whole nother matter. But the truth of the matter is that a place like California is just so horribly run, and LA even more so, both the city and the county, that I have very little confidence that these places will be turned around in any meaningful sense to prevent something like what's happening now, unless the people there desire a very different form of government. And the people in a place like LA some of them tend to be very apathetic. They just throw up their hands and say, screw it, the government's not going to do what I wanted to do, so I'm not even going to vote. Others will say, I have my cause, I have my identity, and I vote on that issue, and I don't care about much else. Yet others will say, I really don't like the way this place is being run, but the Republicans are an existential threat to me and to people that I care about, so I'm going to vote against the GOP. And yet others will go, well, it's not good now, but there are no real alternatives. And I'm not really going to just waste my life thinking about this. This gets closer to apathy, but not quite, because these people will still vote. And then they just vote for basically whatever Democrats on the ballot. I'm sure there are other groups as well, but those are the big ones that come to mind. And all of them combine to create a state of affairs wherein California has a horrible political climate, terrible, terrible mismanagement of natural resources and public resources, and human resources even. And that, it creates the kind of situation that is raging now. The wildfires did come about through nature, but they only became as awful as they are because the people had various levels of government, state, county, and municipal, that pursued agendas highly, how do I put this politely? I'm trying very hard, highly incongruent with the actual public interest. And it's a shame because a lot of the public is voting against their own interest by supporting these pet causes, vote blue no matter who. And now it's readily apparent, but will the public change course? Some may, but I don't think it'll be big enough for the reasons I mentioned to really alter state politics.
Oh yes, and I think you encapsulated pretty well when you said like the federal government can do whatever it can do. It can provide all these resources for them, but at the end of the day, it's really up to the governorship of that state and the people of that state. And it does seem to be the case that in California, the people there would rather deal with the mismanagement that has been going on in California right now, as opposed to finding alternative solutions. Dr. Joseph Cotto, we are reaching at the end mark, but I do want to thank you for coming on. I will be sharing your Twitter and your book as well afterwards. Is there anywhere else people can find you? Does News Site stream anywhere else that you can mention, you can let the audience know about?
Well, they can find it on Apple Podcasts. I upload podcast episodes there over the weekend. Obviously, podcast episodes of the live stream, the podcast version of the live streams, and they can find it on Apple, Google, Spotify, a few others, and they can just see the show on X. You can find me at Joseph Ford Cotto. I'm not too difficult to find. Obviously, I have the blue check mark, as Daniela showed earlier. And I do want to thank Daniela for inviting me on. Oh, and one question for you, Daniela. English really isn't your second language, is it?
It really is my second language. My first language was Russian, actually. So
you speak outstanding
Thank you.
English. No, I really mean that, because I didn't pick up at all that that English was your second language. You speak outstanding English, and really, it's you. I won't say you had me fooled, because there's no deception, but that's how good your command of the English language is.
Well, thank you. I did have to learn English pretty early in life, so I did. I think about age 5 is when I learned English. But once in a while, people sometimes hear a Slavic accent, Russian accent sometimes. But thank you. I do appreciate that.
Certainly, and I was going to say Pensac. I know it's either Russian or Ukrainian. So
Ukrainian,
got it. Yeah, it's interesting, because there's been a big influx of Slavic peoples into the U.S. after the fall of the Soviet Union, and I'm sure a lot still want to come here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't doubt that people want to come into the country. The problem is, though, especially with the H-1B situation, it has been wreaking havoc on the country, I believe, as far as like the job market is concerned. But obviously, like, immigration as a concept I'm not opposed to. The only question is, like, how do we proceed forward with the current state of the country? And I know that you are very well versed in immigration policy and the immigration issues. So the next time I have an immigration heavy episode, I'll let my audience know. I'm going to be bringing Joseph Cotto back on for that, because he clearly is very knowledgeable about these topics. And when he said he was knowledgeable about immigration, I really wanted to bring him on for that as well. So I'm gonna get you on next time we have an immigration heavy episode. But thank you so much, Joseph, for coming on. I'm going to be going in the commercial break, and I will come back, everyone. I will share his socials, and then we will proceed forward. So stay tuned, everyone. Thank you, Joseph.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hayford doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers.
Hey, we are back on Culturama. Thank you, everyone that has joined me today. How did you guys enjoy that with Dr. Joseph Cotto? I mean, clearly he is very knowledgeable about the topics. So I did see someone send in a chat, and I am so sorry, Row House. 7 minutes ago, it was posted like right before we got off with Joseph Cotto. So my apologies, but he did donate $5. Row House, you asked, Cotto, your old pal K-Max here, how would the state of Florida have handled this fire situation? I thought DeSantis eliminated DEI and ran a tight ship on issues like this. Cotto's view. Row House, I am so sorry for missing this. I don't ordinarily take questions during interviews, but you know what? What I will start doing is that I will start taking donations for interviews. If you guys want to ask the interview, the person I'm interviewing a specific question. But Row House, I really do apologize for missing that out. I will be having Dr. Joseph Cotto back on. So Row House, I will advertise that. Just stay in touch with the stream. You can also DM me on social media. I can ask him that question directly. Actually, I could message him and ask him for you. So I can do that for you, Row House, if you find me on social media and DM me on Twitter. And I don't know if I follow you back, but if you just start the message by saying like, this is Row House from Culturama Rumble, I asked him this question, and I can ask him that directly for you. So, but I apologize for missing your message. I did want to get that answered for you because you did donate $5, and I don't want to miss that. Yeah, Row House, if you find me on Twitter at Pensac Daniela, I will figure out an answer for you. I will do everything in my power. It is $5 after all. I also saw people comment in the chat saying that, asking for Leo, I saw. And you know what? I did not get a lot of donations on this stream, and I understand why. I did have technical issues, but if I get a couple more donations in before the next hour starts, I can get Leo on for an Unleash the Beast segment. I am going to use those sparingly, though, because I don't want to spoil you guys too much, but I know how much we love Leo. So if I get a couple more donations, then maybe we'll get him in. Okay, I did want to show you guys, before we proceed, the last 20 minutes of this show, Joseph Cotto's socials. APOC wrote, we made Daniela aware that she used her Schopenhauerian will to rectify the situation. I have a lot of Schopenhauerian will, and for those that don't know what that means, you don't have to know. Believe me, you don't want to know. I'm kidding. It's just philosophy. It's You bring Leo to stream. APOC, I do bring Leo to stream, and we have a segment called Unleash the Beast. It turned out that people really love to see my dysgenic canine on stream live. So what I do is that I drag him on stream. He wears an outfit. Like I said, I only do it if I get a certain amount of donations in. So I do use it as a bit of a carrot on the stick, a little treat. Row House already donated $10 with a fire emoji. Very pertinent. Thank you. I'm sorry, Robbie Thurman. So sorry, Robbie. Robbie Thurman donated $10 to the stream to see Leo. And if my audio was working, Robbie, I would play the money sound effect. So thank you so much, Robbie Thurman. I'll say what? I'll say this. If I get one more donation in stream, I will bring on the Unleash the Beast. Can I still play the sound effect? Can you guys hear on the microphone? The book club never got Leo. No, they didn't, APOC. The book club was more of a respectable endeavor. I'm kidding. Cult Trauma is very respectable, guys. I would say it was my most respectable endeavor doing anything online ever. Okay, so this is Joseph Cotto's Twitter once again. You can find him at Joseph Cotto. There's the @. He is a host of News Site. He streams it on X, and he also has a podcast. He uploads an Apple as well. And he is very, very knowledgeable on the political punditry. And like I said on an immigration heavy episode, I want to get him on because he knows his stuff. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable guests I've had on this stream, and I want to exploit his knowledge a little bit here because he's far smarter than I am or anyone I know. So I want to get him on. And also, this is his book I have here on Amazon. He mentioned it, so I figured to show you guys. It's rated 5 stars. What Happened to America, How and Why the American Dream Became a Nightmare. So this is his most recent book. Here's the picture right here with the two girls up front. It's titled How and Why the American Dream Became a Nightmare by Joseph Ford Cotto. What Happened to America. It looks like you can buy it here for paperback just for $12, I believe. So you can find it on Amazon. He has written other books as well, but this is his most recent publication. And, as a fellow writer myself, I want to make sure that I help people in the endeavor of selling their work. So why am I... Interesting. Okay, the flag's different on the corner there. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. What Happened to America? You can find it on Amazon. There's his socials on X. You can follow him on there, and he streams on X on the news site, is what his show is called. So, I'm going to pull up the next story here, and I will be ending this stream exactly at 7 because what we have going on is the Liberty Tonight Show as well. And the Liberty Tonight Show is another show on the 4 Liberty Network started by Austin Peterson, and they are a late night comedy show. So afterwards, I will paste the link in the chat so you guys can go to their show right afterwards. And on every Thursday, at least I tried to exactly end at 7 so I could transfer you guys to that show as well. So I could have positive relationships with my colleagues. I don't want to go to anyone's territory here. So I will be cutting off this stream shortly here. So I did want to cover the last couple stories. But if we get another donation in, I can suspend my next story for Leo if we get one more donation in. Okay. Daniela, you see the rant, Row House. Oh my goodness! Another donation by Row House. I do see the rant. I do see the Rumble rant, Row House. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. $5 from Row House. Daniela's view of Gavin Newsom running for president in 2028. Does this fire situation get forgotten by then? How about Newsom versus J.D. Vance in 2028? Oh my gosh, that would be Row House. That would be quite the showdown. My opinion on Gavin Newsom's run. Well. People did suggest that he would have run by now already for this last presidential election, and he didn't. I don't know the internal politics of that. I don't know why, and I don't know why the Democrat Party is failing so hard, and instead they got someone like Kamala Harris to run. And there's various reasons for why they got Kamala Harris to run. She was already involved in the administration. They didn't want to pass up on a black woman, perhaps. There's various reasons. Now, is it possible that Gavin Newsom run for president in 2028? I can see it happening. Maybe if the Democrat Party gets their act together, they do want, I guess, generally good-looking, guy to run for president that's fairly well-spoken, a bit younger. Gavin Newsom certainly has presidential physiognomy, I would say. I have no shame in saying that. So I could see him run, and I no doubt would think he'd be a decent spokesperson for the Democrat Party. But he is a failure of a governor, so also the Democrats may be aware of that, aware of his unlikability for the rest of the country. So that could be another reason why he didn't run, but I could certainly see him running if that comes to pass. I do think, though, with many political entanglements that often occur, he does have some skeletons in his closet, which is potentially a reason why he may have not already ran. But if he does run, him against J.D. Vance would be amazing. I would love to see it. Does a fire situation get forgotten by then? Yes. Undoubtedly, people memory hold things all the time. Americans forget things all the time. No doubt have we seen this more exemplified than with the Epstein situation. That was a big story, and that's already been dropped, and it's a fairly important story that I haven't seen people have tried to pick it up and reify it in mainstream dialogue, but it just doesn't stick. And especially with the current age of technology, people are always distracted. So I don't see this affecting his presidential run, especially with the Democrats. They seem to overlook a lot of issues, a lot of mismanagement and mispractices, as well as crimes. So to answer your question, Rojas, I do see him running potentially, and I don't think this fire situation will be brought up at all. I really don't. So, yeah, so I did see you guys understood the mission. You fulfilled it. You did have an extra donation come in. So I do want to thank you for those that did donate so much. Rojas and Robbie Thurman, you guys are very appreciated. It goes a long way. So I am going to bring out Leo here in the next segment. But before I do that, I'm going to skip in the Mexico story because we are running late anyway. But I did want to show you guys one thing before I bring out Leo. So hang in with me. Hang in there. This is a Ford Liberty shop. This is the grift shop, as I call it. I shill it on my show all the time. But I wanted to show this for you just a brief moment. This is a FordLibertyShop.com, and if you look up Culturama in the search bar, you will see Culturama items. You will see mugs, like the beautiful one that I have right here that is stained with my lipstick. You have face creams. You have a tote bag, and what I wanted to draw attention to was the Culturama Atomic Blonde coffee. This is a coffee right here. It is only $21.99. You can purchase just one bag, or you can purchase it consecutively every month or every couple months. Right here is a subscription, and you will get the bag of coffee nearly every couple months or so, and it goes a long way in supporting the show. And also, you will have a delicious cup of coffee every morning or every evening if you are a weirdo like me and you drink coffee at night. It helps me sleep. It really does. So please look into AP4LibertyShop.com, and you can find under the Culturama section the Atomic Blonde coffee. It will go a long way in supporting the show, and you will have a delicious cup of coffee every morning. We also have this wonderful mug with Elon Musk and Rand Paul on it, if you're interested to drink the coffee in that. If the atomic zombies creep you out a little too much, we also have this Rand Paul mug that I think you guys will appreciate under the Culturama collection as well. So please look into purchasing those. And I'm going to bring out Leo because I know that we have had the donations, and it will be a good wrap up to the stream. The sacrifice has been made. The beast has been unleashed, says Mr. Pig. Okay, I'm going to play the commercial, the blonde with the master, what's it called? Marilyn with the Masters commercial one more time, and I'll bring out Leo. So guys, hang in there, and I'll be right back.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to
We are back with Unleash the Beast. And here is Leo right here. Oh my goodness, Leo, show your beautiful necklace. There we go. And I don't know if you guys can hear the audio playing. Oh my goodness, Leo. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio playing in the background. Obviously, like I've been saying this entire stream, I have had technical issues. Usually when I have the panel come up of Unleash the Beast, I will have music playing and screaming like this, okay? APOC, I know you wanted to see this, so it sounds like that. And I bring out Leo dressed in whatever's available at the time. He has a closet. So anyway, so this is Unleash the Beast, and on Unleash the Beast, we unleash Leo, my dysgenic dog, and APOC, this is how it looks like. That was a segment bit. When I have the stream audio working appropriately, you will hear it. But on today's ensemble, everyone, Leo's just wearing a basic floral dress. It's a little big on him, surprisingly. And he has his little beautiful pink necklace. I don't call it necklace. It could be a necklace or a headband. I also prefer to wear it on him like this. Like that, on his forehead. But it's supposed to be worn on his neck. So this is Unleash the Beast. And Leo, do you have anything to say for the audience today? Do you have any commentary on Gavin Newsom, the fires that have been happening in Southern California, or the new presidential administration that is coming in? Wonderful. Thank you, Leo. That's very insightful. Okay, and then also I saw, APOC, you asked that poor longhouse thing. It's adorable. He is extremely longhoused. He loves being longhoused because he gets fed. And APOC, I did see you're talking about a body pillow. We basically do have a body pillow on the Culturama shop, but it is not live stream. I'm sorry, not live streamed. It is not life size. Let me show you what I mean here in a second. Hold on a sec. So if you go in the Culturama shop, APOC, and if you look through the product line, there's 2 pages. So it's called the Out of This World Daniela Space Girl pillow. Someone, Alex Cuesta, actually, I was on a stream yesterday, suggested that I rename this the Simp pillow. But this is how it's technically, I guess, a body-ish pillow. My entire body isn't on it, but it's not life size, but I think you can get it in multiple sizes. Yeah, you could get it multiple sizes, so but it's not entirely life size. But that's the closest thing I have to a body pillow on the shop. So if you want to support Culturama in any way, maybe consider getting that. But yes, APOC, yes, that could work. Indeed, it could. All right, I'm glad we have someone that's excited enough to get the body pillow. Daniela, this is your version of Mike Lindell's My Pillow, Row House. Indeed it is. Indeed it is my own version. But I want to thank everyone that did donate to the stream today. I know that, Leo, come on. I know that, we did have a little bit of a challenges today on this stream. So I do want to thank everyone that did stick around. And by next week, I will for sure have all my audio fixed before then. But I did think it was still important to cover the California situation, and then by next week, depending on how it goes in the news, I may cover it again, because I didn't get to touch on all the stories I wanted to this stream. But what is happening in California does have to be discussed, and the mismanagement cannot occur any longer. Americans are hurting. They are losing their homes and their livelihoods, and we cannot let this occur any longer. And the one way that I fight back against it, and many people that I'm aware of fight back against it, is just talking about it, having uncomfortable conversations that mainstream media just doesn't want to have for some reason. And so this is what we do in this show, is have those conversations to hopefully affect and alter the zeitgeist. And what I mean by zeitgeist, for those that are watching, is the present conversation, the present dialogue that isn't just happening online, although a lot of it does happen online, but it's also with our friends, with our families, in our homes, and the workplace even, or if that's allowed anymore. But it's conversations that we have, in our personal lives, and that goes a long way in shaping the present consciousness and understanding of what is happening politically, and most importantly, culturally. So that's why it's important to have those conversations. And it was just a shame that I couldn't get to everything on this stream, but I'm always going to do my best to provide quality service and quality entertainment for you guys. And APOC, just so you know, since you are new to the stream, and I know that you're a big fan, we will be having Unleash the Beast merchandise soon, hopefully. I want to design some of those. I know I keep saying that. I'm going to get around to actually doing it, hopefully tonight, because I know that people really like it. And as you can see, they donate to see my circus freak wheeled out. I didn't want to bring him out today. I think he was going to have a break today. But you guys donated. You understood the mission, so I want to thank you. Anyway, I am running a little over time. I know that we have the Liberty Tonight show, so I am going to drop the link here in the chat here in a second. Give me a second, guys. I will drop the link. Don't go just yet, because I know you guys are going to enjoy this, okay? Okay, hold on. Rumble. Here we go. Let me drop the link for you guys. There we go. Are they live today? They are live. So I'm going to drop this. They have 7 viewers right now. They are starting. Oh my goodness, I'm going overtime. Okay, I'm dropping the link. I'll see you guys there. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and I will see you next week.